everybody? I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com in the Real Talk Studios here in Mountie from New Jersey. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give a call 215-369-3300. It's that time of the year, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
What's up, guys? Lazy Booking coming at you live from the Real Talk Studios. The Ginger Gang, Madison Sudi Chrome coming at you. We got Mike Mataraki back this week.
Boom!
We got Senor Ryan Brodo over here on the ones and twos. Our Scanzano Sports poll question this week, scanzanosports.com. Do you approve of WWE's booking of Ronda, Becky, Charlotte? Yes or no? Simple question. We'll talk about that. We're going to preview Elimination Chamber. We'll try to get in Hot Tag this week. Our chat was live last week on Facebook and YouTube. So, we let the fam carry the show, but we got there. We got some things to talk about. Welcome to the Real Talk Penitentiary here, guys. The Real Talk Penitentiary.
Boy, did you flub that.
I didn't know if I wanted to say A2D Penitentiary or Real Talk, so I had to process things in my head there.
I'm favoring the Real Talk.
I like the Real Talk.
I just served you up the Merino line, too, and you missed it.
Wow.
There was no flub. There's no fucking flub here.
No flub. No fucking flub. One of the greatest videos ever from my favorite football player ever, by the way. It's spectacular.
It's spectacular.
Also, happy Valentine's Day out there to all the lonely hearts, all the taken hearts.
If I may, hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
Would you like to see the big Valvoski in action tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to have all you fat, out of shape Pennsylvania pissants and Atlantic City sweat hogs.
South Jersey sweat hogs.
Keep the noise down while A2D goes live with Lazy Booking.
Okay.
Jump in, guys. What do you think?
I like it.
No, like the booking.
I don't like that. But I'm gonna let Maddie go first.
So far, is it me or is it like it's another one of those February pay-per-views? The most exciting thing is we're going to see the first ever women's tag champs. Other than that, I don't really see them doing anything else too crazy.
But what do you think about Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda and how that's kind of played out?
Well, that is, in a way, it's kind of funny. You know how it's completely unnecessary. It's doubling down when you don't need to double down or anything like that, and I get that side of it. But in a way, I think it's Vince trolling his fans. Because think about it. They hate it when he gives somebody the rub. So in a way, I think he's doing this to get heat on Charlotte, to take heat off of Ronda, since Ronda was getting booed like nobody's business. When anytime you brought up Becky and Ronda, everybody is 1,000% behind Becky. So since you're not going to go the route of making Ronda somewhat like heelish in a way, okay, simple. You put Charlotte in the match, she can be the heel, and everyone can boo the shit out of her, so you don't have to worry about people booing Ronda. I don't know if it's going to work. In theory, it should work. That's in theory.
What I'll agree with you on is I do believe it is a tactic to take heat off of Ronda for sure. I also feel in conversations with my buddies Nick and Nate, we've talked a lot about this over the week. It's you hear the comparisons of the Becky rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mm. So naturally what WWE does is they try to recreate everything. Cool if it's happening that way, but now it becomes not organic like it was then, as opposed to what it was. It was an organic rise. I'm okay. I've softened on the stance of I not okay, but I can understand. I feel like they partially want Charlotte to be in it. Charlotte was a pivotal point in the model of the women's division.
Of course.
and giving her that rub to be in that main event, because clearly these women are going to close out the show, I can understand the feeling or the need to make her a part of it. The booking to get there, I don't care for.
The only person I really feel bad for, though, in the midst of all this is Asuka, because now she's basically irrelevant right now.
Agreed.
In terms of what's going to happen at Mania.
Yeah,
Well,
I would agree with that.
I think that I think the reason that Asuka seems irrelevant right now is that they are, call it, cooling her off to bring her back in as hot a manner as they possibly can. Because, number one, I don't necessarily believe that she's out of this whole main event picture at WrestleMania. I don't necessarily know that she will be in the match, but I don't think she's not going to have some sort of involvement, first of all. Mm-hmm. I agree with both of you guys on the point that Charlotte's involvement is absolutely to get the heat off of Ronda. Mm-hmm. And the way that they're playing it with Ronda then showing the babyface tendencies where she's going to Becky and saying, you know, this is bigger than you or me. You have to go apologize. We have to have the match. You know, like last week she was ice and Advil bitch, and this week she's, you know, all softened her stance and she's all, you know, concerned about the women's revolution, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely a means of allowing Ronda to work as a babyface without having to turn Becky. Mm-hmm. The thing that bothers me about the whole thing is the McMahons, and I'll use the air quotes on that, 4 of them came out on TV a month and a half ago and said that the fans were now more or less the boss. They were going to give the fans what they wanted. There was not going to be any more authority storylines. There was not going to be any of the same matches that you've seen over and over and over again. And, you know, it was going, you know, there were going to be new, fresh matches, and we were going to give the fans what they wanted. Vince McMahon putting Charlotte in the match in that way is a fall right back to an authority storyline.
I think, in a way, I'm not 1,000% surprised by that, to be honest with you. I'm not surprised because of the fact that it's like Vince is very much a control freak, and he has to be in control of everything. So if he feels like he needs to figure out some convoluted way to double down, if you will, and get heat off of Ronda on a WrestleMania main event, then if he has to go back on what he said on live television, fuck it, I'll do it, you know, and I'll just put Charlotte in the match because that's the way Vince is. Vince is like, okay, it's got to happen this way. It has to happen this way. No ifs, ands, or buts, because he's very stubborn in that way sometimes. So I think I'm not really surprised that it happened, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, and I understand your point about the stubbornness, but don't you think he's got to have people, and even if it's Triple H and Shane and Stephanie, or, you know, Pat Patterson or Michael Hayes or Road Dogg or somebody, say to him, Vince, you can't do it this way because you just went out and told the people 6 weeks ago that you weren't going to do it that way anymore. Meanwhile, you got a group putting on a press conference out in Las Vegas with Jericho Omega 2 lined up as a main event that sells out in 4 minutes, and Vince, 6 weeks after he says he's not going to do it anymore, is giving him the same old shit. Now, I'm not drawing an AEW comparison because I know how you feel about that, and I think we've all kind of said, let's wait and see before we crown these guys. But you can't deny that there is another factor there that, you know, if Vince is going to tell people he's going to give them what they want, and then he goes back on that, he's going to push a greater percentage of the audience into or over towards the group that is going to eventually give the people what they want.
And I agree wholeheartedly.
And this is still theoretic right now, but go ahead.
I'm glad that you brought that point up, because if you didn't, I was going to bring up the fact that it wasn't long ago that we're talking about how we're not going to have this nonsense.
Right.
And you have Stephanie being a baby face, and you have Hunter back there encouraging Seth Rollins, like, hey, you know, show me you were the guy who we expected you to be. And then it's like, That's who I thought you would be. Great job, this and that. And then he turns around, and now we're back to, well, Stephanie's going to take away. She's going to dangle the carrot and then take away the main event. Hunter's going to come out, and like he's going to right this ship, but nope. Now he's going to interject himself, and he's going to be a heel now again. And then they kind of did like a weird in-between thing.
But see, I think what happened
But then Vince now has to be the figure over the top of it.
And I'm with you on that, but I think what happened was, at least the way I interpret it, is I think they realized kind of midstream that they're like, wait a minute, we can't do this because we just told the people 6 weeks ago we weren't going to do this.
Right. So they're taking the heat off of Stephanie and Triple H.
Right. We're not going
to Vince.
Exactly. We're not going to inject ourselves into the storylines like this anymore. They go out, they baby face up, and they apologize. But now you're fucked on the storyline. Right. So what do? To Maddie's point, oh pal, if you guys don't want to go out there and screw over Becky, I'll do it. Everybody hates me anyway.
But not only that,
I'm Vince McMahon.
And also to add on to your point, Chrome, too, you know how WWE tries to recreate everything. Who's the one person that stood in front of Stone Cold every single time? It was Vince McMahon.
And it's not just that. It's now Charlotte is the chosen corporate one, similar to who
The
else
Rock.
was that?
The Rock.
The Rock.
They're trying to rerun the same parallels that they did before, where something that was amazing because of how organic that it all grew now just seems forced and takes away a lot of that natural build that we had seen.
Well, let me ask you
I
this.
also think, too, they're protecting Ronda because if you were going 6 more weeks of Becky running down Ronda in promos, there would be, especially because the word now is Ronda's going to take 6 months off after Mania. They're worried about getting the Lesnar treatment and Goldberg treatment at WrestleMania. That's an issue. And I do believe that it is what would be so great is to have the one-on-one match. And what's the ultimate rub? For Becky to finally be the one to get a decisive victory over Ronda. Like, what a huge rub that would be.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Charlotte is now in the match to also take the fall.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not only that, too, even in a way, too, it does also add an element, even if we all know Becky's going to win, basically. But at the end of the day, for some, it adds an element of maybe they'll put the belt on Charlotte. We know they won't do that. But some people out there will, you know, how some people take one thing and they go off. We've heard this with AEW about a billion times. Someone may theorize, oh, well, this is why Charlotte's going to win at WrestleMania, not Becky, because, you know, Vince McMahon, low. No, someone would do that. They would.
And this is kind of a backwards way of, again, recreating a WrestleMania feud. Because if you remember the triple threat match before, Charlotte was the one that tapped out Becky. Now there's an opportunity now where you could have Becky be the one to defeat Charlotte, get that win back, have that great moment at WrestleMania, and protect Ronda because Ronda never lost the belt on her own.
Well, here's an interesting thought as well. So the first Austin Rock title match at WrestleMania was WrestleMania 15, correct?
Correct.
This is WrestleMania 35, the 20-year anniversary. Maybe they're, you know, sort of in a way paying homage to the storyline.
Are we going to hit the Limp Bizkit My Way or the Highway song?
Who knows? But it'd
be
interesting.
Are they going to put them in the Hall of Fame so they can use the song this year for the promo package?
They're also going to.
You know what? If Limp Bizkit goes into the WWE Hall of Fame, you bet your ass. But
is he gonna? Is Taker gonna have a match and he'll actually bring the biker gimmick back and we'll have Roland be the one to bring him out to?
I don't think you're gonna see Taker anywhere near
I don't think
WWE
so, but that would be hilarious
after today's news. But
no.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thought, guys, what happens if now understanding that this is still Ronda Rousey? We know that the morning after WrestleMania, there is mainstream media all over the place. What would you think if I told you my theory is that Ronda actually winds up retaining at WrestleMania, but it is kind of the worse for wear coming out of the match? And Becky comes out the night after WrestleMania, challenges her one-on-one. Ronda probably shouldn't take the match, but she does. And Becky wins her title in New York, WrestleMania weekend, but she does it on Raw instead of on instead of WrestleMania. So it's still Ronda Rousey going on ESPN and the Today Show and Good Morning America and, the Ronda Rousey, the mainstream media superstar, doing all the media the morning after WrestleMania for Vince and the WWE, and then she drops her title that night.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't believe they would do that because they would be ending 2 straight WrestleManias in a corporate fanboy type of a fashion. Last year it was...
But you don't know that because they could very easily go on last. Or, they could have Brock and Seth go on last and have Seth win that title.
They're not going to have
Yeah, but
that.
I understand that.
But they have never – they keep saying the main event
The women are going to close
for the
out
women, but Seth and Brock is also being called a main event.
Right, a main event, but they, unlike Seth and Brock, they are emphasizing how important this year's main event of the women is to be the featured match on the show, which it's very clear that the women are going to end up closing the show.
I'm not convinced. I think that they could go the whole, co-main event route and have Brock and Seth and finish the show.
See, I think if they're going to go all the way with this, like we've been talking about for a long time, that it was going to be the main event. I don't like. I can understand what you're saying, Mike, but to me, if you're going to market it as the main event, and especially in this year and a half, 2 years of women first type things, first, ladder match, first Elimination Chamber, all this stuff. I think this is the time, especially given the 3 superstars that are involved, that they go full into this and they end the show. If by some way they don't do that, I think your theory is absolutely in play.
Well, and it's kind of where I was going with that, is that you might be able to tell by match placement what that finish is going to be.
Yeah.
Listen, and I think, honestly, all the 0 and 5 WrestleManias are always monumental in some way. You can go back since really the start.
No, you're right.
That I would be shocked if they decide in New York at 35 to rest on their laurels finally on a 0 or a 5 and give a very underwhelming main event of Seth and Brock. And not to say that I think the match would be underwhelming, but there's nothing monumental about that. There's nothing that lives up to the 0s and the 5s.
Actually, you could say that for both titles right now. With
nobody even cares about Bryan's run right now.
Yeah, isn't that weird to say where no one really gives a shit about the Universal title or the WWE title match right now?
Chrome,
going into this
Best
WrestleMania.
thing, by the way, about that title that got me excited, the most excited I've been.
Did you could smoke it?
Was that true? I don't do that, but if I did,
it's made out of hemp.
But the fact that you saw a different person highlighted this week that actually got me really excited, and that was Kofi Kingston in that gauntlet match.
A little boom, boom, boom.
Phenomenal showing by Kofi, though, in that match. That's the best I've ever seen him.
Let me ask you this. The year or the WrestleMania that Seth obviously cashed in, where were they? What city was that?
That was
San
Santa
Francisco.
Clara, WrestleMania 31.
All right, because if it was in New York, I was going to have a theory, but I won't even go anywhere with it. But on your Kofi Kingston thing, and we'll obviously talk more about this in the Chamber preview, but obviously there's a lot of rumors and speculation that, oh, my God, could they have Kofi Kingston win the thing? I'll just say straight up.
I'd be shocked.
Well, I agree because I don't believe.
I don't know that I'd be mad, though.
I mean, the belt's made of hemp. He used to be Jamaican. I see dollar signs in that one.
Yeah. All right, there's the best of the week. There's one.
I was going to say, Maddie wins.
There you go.
We're done.
What I was going to say was I don't know if this is a Kofi Kingston. It wasn't designed to be a Kofi Kingston moment because, in my opinion, he just took the role of Mustafa Ali. I think the plan all along was Mustafa Ali was going to get the rub, and it was going to be Mustafa Ali that it was going to be, could he be the shocker?
Right.
Kofi just assumed that role. So I don't think, even though I love Kofi and he's a veteran, he's done a lot for the company, I don't think this changes anything.
By the way,
I agree.
How do you guys feel about that, too, with Mustafa being kind of put into a main event situation? Because I don't mind him. I think he's got really good talent. I just
I like it.
It's interesting. It's a different shot in the arm of seeing this kid out of nowhere who was in 205 Live forever and now he's on SmackDown and he's featured in main event programs right now.
I think they've done a better job on character development with him than they've done with anybody in a long time, just with these sort of like, what would you call them, like back alley soliloquies where he just kind of like, it's just him looking into the camera with like a stream of consciousness. Like, I'm more invested in Mustafa Ali right now than I am anybody else on the SmackDown roster outside of maybe Samoa Joe, because I am a lifelong Samoa Joe mark.
Me as well.
I'll go far with this because you make a good point. You know, as far as their character development, we all know that the company is way better at bringing up heels than they are baby faces. I'll go as far as to say that they've built up Mustafa Ali as good as, or as far as the last person they've built as far as a babyface, as good as Mustafa Ali was Daniel Bryan, and that was by accident.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I would agree
It's a
with
great
that.
point.
I mean-
So that's a great point.
I mean, to be fair, though, I think what they have done with Bryan, even though he's kind of been irrelevant, which is sad to say, I don't really think it's a bad thing that they tried to make him the heel that he is, because they didn't go the same route of the American Dragon route. They didn't do that because I think in the WWE environment, I don't know if that would have, like, the Smarks would have gotten it, but not the casuals. I don't think they would have gotten it. This one, you can pretty much agree. It's like everyone has that one person in their life that they cannot stand. They're so environmentally conscious that they make you sick. So I'm not exactly we got
He doesn't drink anymore, though.
I know.
well, that's actually interesting
Forward.
when you think about that.
Can you forward to me?
It's
Uh,
Becky tweeted Stone Cold.
Just go to Becky's
okay.
Twitter.
But
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, no, I thought Ryan brought up a really good point, and I agree with you. I don't think it changes the result with Kofi. I think they looked at this as who's going to be the best fit to take or be able to pull off an hour-long performance like that. Clearly, Kofi, I think on the entire roster, may have been the glaring candidate of that. And aside from that, if you follow a lot of things if you read a lot about Kofi over the last few years, a lot of what's talked about is how respected he is with the company. Like, people talk about the douchebag Tito Santana and how Vince always thought that he was like this you know, a guy that he could rely on to do whatever. I don't know why. But he finally got it right with, at least with a guy like Kofi, to where he could be a guy who's charismatic and entertaining and go out there. But
Well, the thing that I thought was awesome, though, was, and I'm sure you caught this, was there was a lot of reaction as Kofi was going through that gauntlet on Tuesday night. A lot of, like, Twitter reaction and stuff like that. Bless you.
Bless you.
ooh, that snuck up on me.
About, like, Kofi's great and Kofi's this and Kofi's that. And a lot of the WWE superstars were on Twitter responding been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Once the man, always the man. Like, this is no surprise to everybody who watches him every day.
No.
Like, it's like the entire roster was basically just like kind of, giving him like his round of applause because they knew, that it was there.
Well, yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. And to be honest, I mean, we talk all the time that we think that when they finally either break apart the New Day or they start utilizing them differently, that we think that Big E's going to be the single star, and I think he could. But really, if you read between the lines of a lot of stuff that you read or a lot of stuff that's put out there about Kofi and his standing with the company, they've believed for a long time that he could have a very strong singles run again. I think they needed to rehabilitate his character, and they managed to do that through the New Day.
And make him not a Jamaican.
Yeah. but I have read that there has been discussions that at some point in his career to get a title run. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but this could be the thing that kicks it off by, unfortunately, the injury of another guy.
the look on Ryan's face.
So I told Mike and Mike before the show,
Mike and Mike.
every week I have what ifs.
Yeah.
And I thought of one that was a little different, and this could be the most over-the-top one or out of left field one. And it's about Kofi Kingston. And this is not a prediction by any means, but it is a
Is it a
what
spoiler?
if. Yeah, but it's a spoiler.
It's not a prediction. It's a
That's
spoiler.
a spoiler.
And it revolves around Kofi Kingston. So say, for example, because we would all agree right now that we don't necessarily know the whole opponent for Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's up in the air. And obviously Daniel Bryan has Eric Rowan next to him, and Luke Harper's we don't know what's going to happen. So let's say, for example, Luke Harper comes back at Elimination Chamber, which could very well happen, and help him out. So, going forward, it's the group of Rowan, Harper, and Bryan. What if the WWE title match was Daniel Bryan and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan versus Kofi Kingston and the New Day? And I'm not saying Kofi would win yet.
Freebird rules?
Well, I thought about that, but you brought up another element.
Winning team gets the one belt?
Yeah. You brought up an interesting element of the New Day that we've been talking about for about a year, and that's Big E Langston. You know a way to really kickstart a heel run for him? Cost him the WWE title against Daniel Bryan, or Kofi Kingston lose clean to Daniel Bryan, and then not Batista, Jesus. I was going to say you would pull Batista in Evolution. When you're carrying him on top of your shoulders, and then you turn on him.
You see Big E go.
Yeah.
That's what I just did. I was like,
just like throw a pancake in his face.
Because obviously, listen, we see in one great match how far the fan base gets behind Kofi Kingston. And it's like, listen, the New Day, they're not main event guys, or at least as a tag team. But to me, it would get a lot of things going. A main event push for Kofi, make him one of the most sympathetical baby faces, which is hard to do in this day and age. Big E can get some massive heat and then either stay on SmackDown or he can go to Raw. And then Xavier Woods, manager? I don't know.
No, see, they're big on Xavier. I don't think that is.
I know, but he would be the odd man out no matter what.
My what if is, what if Bryan retains and then Luke Harper shows up and then the lights go out and Bray Wyatt shows up?
That's where I was going. It's like,
and that the main event program
yeah.
for WrestleMania is Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. And Wyatt with Luke Harper, Daniel Bryan with Eric Rowan.
No, that makes sense.
I
That
can
makes a lot of
see
sense.
that.
No, I'm on board with that.
I think that's one of their two options.
I mean,
Baby status is going to depend, but
I can't even really. I can't actually. Yeah, there's really nobody else you can think of right now because they've already done the AJ Styles Daniel Bryan thing.
There's one. There's one. And his name is John Cena.
Wow.
John Cena.
I mean, I guess the history would be that Daniel Bryan did beat him to win his first ever WWE title before it got taken off him the same night. But
and John Cena.
John Cena is always a fallback plan for him.
And he's done filming this most recent movie about 9 days before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And listen, you could say, oh, that's not enough time to build. Listen, with John Cena, you can come in the week before and be like, oh, John Cena's in the match.
Literally, you could have John Cena not even announced, and literally he could show up.
Well, they pulled off Cena and Undertaker without Undertaker ever showing up.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and they
eating popcorn for 3 hours in the stands.
They did Rock and Cena with a bunch of vignettes with The Rock. So I mean, you could do a lot of different ways.
I would love to see Cena and Samoa Joe.
I feel like you're probably going to get Cena and Drew McIntyre.
I could see that.
That's the way I'm leaning for Cena right now.
See, I think right now they're going with Drew and Strowman. And I think that's going to end up being a number one contenders match. The winner faces the winner of Lesnar and Seth for the next pay-per-view.
Maybe. I could see that for Fastlane.
Can I maybe toss something out here? I want to double back.
You can, and I'm going to hit the fam after that.
Okay, and I don't want to go too far ahead because we have about 1 million shows between now and WrestleMania. But what if they do end the show with Brock and Seth, and the feel-good moment is after Seth wins the title, Brock goes to attack him out of, poor sportsmanship or whatever, and Roman makes the save.
I wouldn't say no. I just don't know if they're going to put that out there yet. And I'm with you. And I would say. I mean, I could see Roman just coming out and congratulating.
Right. Well, I mean,
I
could
don't
see
know about a physical thing.
Right, but I mean, I'm just talking about, Roman comes out, throws a couple punches, runs him off. There's no, He's not taking any moves. He's not, it's just like the lamest save you could possibly get, but it's Roman and the pop goes, is ballistic. And then while they're in the ring, you get the Dean Ambrose, walk down to the ring, kind of stare those two down for a little bit. He gets in the ring. You have the Shield hug. Ambrose gets his send-off. Roman, gets his moment, and Seth wins the championship, and everybody goes home happy.
Well, you caught that awkward moment with Seth and Dean, right?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it, though. It was so awkward that it was delicious.
But do you know why Seth laughed? Because Dean went off script. He was supposed to say something about the Shield, and instead he just said, "Go slay the beast."
Slay the beast, yeah.
And
I got one thing to say.
That look of confusion on Seth was half serious because he went totally off of script of what he was supposed to say.
Why would he do that? I don't understand.
I think that it kind of makes me think that there is a good chance he may be leaving and it's not a work, and they're just trying to tie that storyline up and give it a good feel because clearly they're already booking him back as a face. So it just kind of felt like they were just trying to come up with a way, and it's like a mutual respect thing now. Because everybody's the world's against Brock Lesnar. And we know the history of Brock and Dean to where he's like, you know what, man? I know what you could do. Just go slay the beast. It was enough.
Yeah.
So.
Although, is it mere, like, have the two finishes to the Ambrose EC3 match has been weird? Just like the roll-ups and stuff like that. Like, they're not really giving either of them a decisive win.
Because I think that they're going to probably have a match. I thought it could be a pre-show match for Elimination Chamber. Wouldn't shock me if it's a WrestleMania match. Wouldn't shock me at all.
I mean, if Ambrose is leaving, you go out on your back, you put over EC3, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But see, I would have thought that when EC3 got the first win, was it last week?
Yeah.
That was the win, and that. Like, I actually thought they were just going to job Ambrose out the rest of the way. Like, he'd be in the ring with somebody every Monday night, and he'd lose every Monday night. And just one guy after the next, getting, like, weird sort of, like, roll-up, fluky pinfall victories, and that's it. See you, Dean.
I mean, it depends on how they feel about him, I guess, in the back. I mean, if they really don't like him, then I could see them wanting to book him that way. But if they really don't have any issues with him and he has no issues with them, he just wants to take an opportunity somewhere else, I could see them just setting a little something up so that way he could put somebody over and then leave that way.
Well, for everything that I've read, like, they said that he's been nothing but professional. Basically, since he told them he wasn't going to resign, he's been nothing but professional. Renee has been professional. There's no friction between them. There's no friction between Dean and the company. Like, he said, everything has just been, like, completely professional, and he's going to go out with his head held high. So, I mean, when you're walking out with your head held that high, even if they job you out for whatever it is at this point, 7-8 weeks, I mean, how bad could it be? Plus, he's not going to AEW as Dean Ambrose. He's going to go as Jon Moxley.
It's true.
Actually, I don't even know if he's going to AEW. I could see him going either to Japan or to Ring of Honor.
I don't know what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a work in the end.
It could be.
But I don't know. I felt like the need to tie that end already with Dean and Seth was a little bit of a telltale sign that I was kind of waiting to see which one way or the other, which way things were going to sway.
Did that feel rushed to you?
That
like just the two of them face to face in the ring, literally this week. Like, I feel like they could have waited a couple more weeks on that.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, that could have been their way of completing the Dean Ambrose face turn already again.
The arc, if you will.
The arc,
if you will.
Yeah, I don't know, but.
What's up with the fam?
Yeah, let's check out the fam. Thanks, guys, for sticking in with us. Michael Klinkoff, he says, "What's up, sexy ladies? What's up, you handsome son of a bitch?"
Michael Klinkoff, the most handsome man on internet radio.
Son of a bitch. David Roska says, "What's up?" He says, "Tom and Mike and Matt."
There's no Tom.
Becky versus Charlotte versus Rousey at WrestleMania 35. Jake Friel says, "Sup, boys? What's up, Jake?" And he says, "I think something's going to happen at Fastlane that gets Asuka involved one way or the other. The way they brought Charlotte in just feels forced. Just wish it was a little more organic. I totally agree, man.
Mm-hmm.
Peter says, preach Mike. I was talking about you when you were talking about the McMahons earlier because I did see when he dropped that in.
Cool. Thank you, Peter. My
Vraska
man.
says Vince is a stupid ass. Peter says unreal. Can't get out of his own way. He's talking about Vince McMahon. David Vraska says, who will Asuka defend her SmackDown Live Women's Championship against at WrestleMania 35?
Dean Ambrose.
Well, they scrapped the
I know.
the Ambrose night. That happened real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord. And a lot of people were excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm talking even in the industry. It was the first time in years they were going to do anything intergender. But somebody had a problem with it, clearly. I think it was
You heard how that came about, though, right?
No.
It was one of the arenas that they were doing it in on the house shows. I don't know what city or state it was in, but supposedly they were going to do the match on the house shows a bunch before they took it to TV. And I think they were told it was like the intergender matches were against the law in that state.
Oh, really?
And I think somebody at WWE just threw their hands up and said, "F it."
See, I didn't hear that. I heard that.
I don't feel like dealing with this all over the country. We're done.
I heard that the sponsors had an issue with it.
Oh, and that's a good possibility as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it's one of those things where it's not an indie company. You can't get away with
Exactly.
But you'd think the sponsors by this point would understand it's a work, it's performance.
Everything's image, though.
Yeah.
Everything is perception and how people look at things.
Yeah.
Raska says how it was the same thing. Yes, the same question. Dave Seger says Chrome WrestleMania isn't what it used to be. Dave's my boy. What's up, Dave? I don't know. I go every year and have a great experience. So it's a little different. I see it differently. I haven't watched it on TV in a while. Last one I did was 32, which wasn't very good. So
I mean, honestly, though, it just depends on how they set up. Because there are some matches that you look at, like, okay, that's going to be a great match. Even if I know who the winner's going to be, they're going to make me have a good time. Sometimes they just have those main events that just make you scratch your head and be like, why the fuck did they do that?
yeah. Andy says I could see Mike's theory happening, but I'd hate it.
Which theory on that was that
Ronda retaining?
the Ronda routine?
Let me remind us which one, buddy. I'm reading down to it. So, Sager says Brock is so underwhelming anymore. Doesn't have the same luster anymore. David Raska says Kofi will walk out as the new champion on Sunday night.
That would be interesting.
So I told you Andy said he had some crazy harebrained schemes and asked me not to make fun of him, which I told him I wouldn't. But I'm not a man of my word when it comes to reading him on the air.
I thought you were serving it up to me for me to make fun of him.
So he says, Chrome, do you remember when I said I had some crazy theories? Kofi winning the belt is one of the theories. Maybe not main eventing Mania. Hell, probably drop it at Fastlane. But I feel like this is Kofi's last year, and they're going to give him some of those highlights. Why do you think it's Kofi's last year?
I was going to say, I'm curious
That's
on that
interesting.
too.
If it is his last year, I want him to win the title and drop it at Mania just because it's the last title he hasn't held, and he hasn't had that Mania moment that I can remember. Let me know why you think it's his last year. I'm curious because I've never heard anything like that.
He's young. He's healthy.
Yeah. Not only that, too, also to address him, if it is his last year, it's the one belt he hasn't held. It's like, but that's the reason why he can't hold the title, because what makes your belt is all the people who are competent enough and capable of winning the title that don't win the title. Those guys make that because when you think about it, it's just like, okay, this guy was great. Why was he never champion? It's like, I could see why he was never champion.
Yeah, but that made sense like before when there was 2 and 3 year champions. Nowadays, if you're in the main event or if you're looked highly upon, pretty much everybody gets a run at some point. And they have not had they have not had an African American WWE champion.
But not only that, too,
aside from Dwayne.
But there's a lot of guys, though, who haven't held the belt, though, that are capable of holding the title. I mean, guys like Joe, guys like, Nakamura, these are guys that,
there's still years. I don't know that Nakamura is capable of holding the WWE
I don't think
title.
he'll ever see it, to be honest.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know that he's capable of the WWE title. I know he was able to do that stuff in New Japan.
It's a different world, baby.
I'm very underwhelmed with what I've seen from him, and I don't think it's totally on WWE. I think there's definitely flubs on their side.
It's not a flub.
Some guys.
It's not a fucking
it's not
flub.
a fucking flub. I love it. I think I'm subconsciously using that word because I
Because of
watched
that video.
so
I know.
much. I have literally watched that video. Like I has to be at least 100 times.
Send it in.
Fuck it, send it in.
Fuck it. Send it in.
I don't need to say it.
The Yinzer accent.
Greg
It's beautiful.
Greg Milakovic says, "What's up, fam? Why the hell is there a Brady jersey hanging on the wall? Because of you, Greg." Says, "I'm so far
Look,
behind on program."
jabroni.
He says, "I'm so far behind on the program, so this is I'm just here so I don't get fined. Love you, boys." And I literally used that line
You
earlier
did.
too.
Yes,
It's
you
before we
did.
went on the air.
It's great.
Dave Saggers says, "Jimmy Uso arrested. Shake my head." I know, man. That's his third offense doing it too.
So, are they off the card now, or are they still on the card?
The bro.
The bro.
Welcome to the Brodo Penitentiary.
Andy says, "Brodo, Jackson and I were just talking about a similar scenario to that. I think he was talking about the one you were talking about earlier." He says, "I'd like it. I don't know much about the Big E turn, but I like it."
I mean, it's going to happen eventually, the Big E turn. It's about if you want it to be a WrestleMania moment or not.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to turn him. I think they can make him a singles run without turning him, though. And I think they're such a merchandising machine. I could see them keeping them together as a stable, but getting away from that Freebird rule crap and focusing it in a different way. Or if it's Kofi's last year,
Apparently.
Andy, you're going to have to tell me where you
Yeah,
got
I
that.
want to know where that came out
Because
as well.
usually if it's someone's last year, and listen, everyone's different, but wouldn't he go down to a more of a part-time role? I mean, they don't usually go from full-time like New Day to nothing.
And
you know what I
it's-
mean? Usually they go full-time, and then they kind of simmer down their schedule from there.
And there's no rumor mill saying that his contract's up.
No.
So, because we would have heard something about AEW.
Listen,
at some point.
we've been hearing that it's Sheamus's last year for about 4 years.
Yeah.
about
So-
that too. Yeah. So
We've heard nothing about Kofi.
Andy also said, "I feel like if the Dean thing was a work, they would reference it more." I kind of agree, but at the same time, it's unprecedented for them to come out 3 months beforehand. So I don't know. And they did have that weird kind of interaction with Hunter. I could see his opponent being Hunter at WrestleMania.
Could this be something? I mean, it's different situations, but we've heard numerous times that Ziggler, for example, he's working towards the end of his contract. And in years past, in these moments, they would either start jobbing him out or start really pushing him to the top. Could this be a situation where it's not a work, it's not a storyline, it's not real life, but it's in the middle because maybe behind the scenes they're kind of communicating on what they're going to do.
No, I don't.
You know what I mean? Maybe they're trying to get him back, and
From
he's
my,
not sure.
My understanding is they offered him more money than he's making. They made him a very lucrative offer that he supposedly turned down. I could see if you're talking about is there still an ongoing negotiation. My understanding is they gave him more than a fair offer.
He said it wasn't about the money.
Yeah, he basically said it's not about the money.
Okay, because my only point is it's easier to bury someone than bring them back up.
Right.
Than it is to absolutely push the hell out of someone and then have them disappear.
Yeah.
again, though, it's just like it's one of those things where you then have to debate. It's like, are they just going to have him put someone over before he leaves? And then that's it. He's just going to walk away. You know, it's like it's almost like, are they going to do that route with it like you did back in the day where if you're leaving, okay, put this guy over and we'll see you later. You know?
Speaking of over, have you guys been watching the current season of Edge and Christian?
I haven't.
I have not had a
The
chance.
show that totally reeks of
So
awesomeness.
I'll be
I
honest.
wish.
I absolutely love that show, but I usually binge watch it. I don't watch it like on the week by week basis.
It's
I
funny
enjoy it
because
as
I'm
a
the
binge.
same way.
It's
Like,
a binge watching show to me.
I usually let it go about 5 episodes, and then I'll watch all 5 of them
that's
at
great.
once. But the only reason that I bring it up, and Maddie, you kind of triggered me on this, was so there's a segment on one of the shows, and I don't remember. It's like the second or third episode where it's like, Edge and Christian's word of the day is over, starring Finn Balor. and it's like there's like a guy, there's like somebody like laying on the floor, and he just steps over him and he goes, over.
Oh man, that show is brilliant.
Oh, it is.
Have you ever listened to their podcast too?
Yes.
Freaking
I
hilarious.
want to watch this week's or listen to this week's. I believe they had, or maybe it was last week, but they had Seth on, and he talked about the. I read an excerpt from it talking about how the decision was made to transition to him at WrestleMania 31. So when he was here for, the hell is the Comic-Con that we do here?
Philly.
Yeah, no, it's not Philly Comic-Con though. What's the other one?
Was it a Wizard World one?
Wizard
I
World.
was
Thank
gonna
you.
say Wizard
Good
World, yeah.
Lord, I couldn't think of it. I met him there and we did the Q&A, and I actually had asked him a question. I said, hey, I was at the crowd. One of my favorite moments I've ever been at. Can you kind of go through, and I could actually, I have the video, so I could share this on our social media. It's about a 3-minute video, and I said, can you go through kind of like what your thought process was before you went out, and then when you were out, and then after you won? And he gave this like really good explanation of everything, even to talking about how like the referee missed a cue and all this different stuff. So then hearing about the build up to kind of there, it was almost like piecing a lot more together that I would like to have gotten if I could have asked another question.
A follow-up.
A follow-up. So I want to actually sit and listen to it. I've heard it was really, really good, his interview with Seth. So if you haven't listened to their podcast or watched their show, I have no problem plugging a WWE thing.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that. That's really-
absolutely.
It's excellent, and it's got great things that you can reference on this show.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Andy says, or I'm sorry, John C. Dana says, Danzo, he says, do you see the Forgotten Sons going over in WWE? I don't know who the Forgotten Sons is.
Oh, that's that's Gunner. I know one of them.
Oh, right.
Isn't it?
I forgot. I
it's
heard
three
about
of
it.
them.
It's Blake.
I did
Yes,
know
it's
that.
formerly known
Yeah.
as artist formerly known as Blake.
I have,
yeah, it's-
I have
but-
not watched a lot
Yeah.
of NXT lately.
Was
to be
it
honest.
Rodney Blake? So that was his name, Rodney Blake or Wesley Blake?
Wesley
Wesley-
Blake, yeah,
Yeah, Wesley Gunner,
and
which
some other guy.
and some other guy.
But they're pushing Gunner. He's
Yeah.
like the main one.
Yeah.
See, I
I haven't seen Gunner in so long.
I can't see them necessarily getting the main roster push and really going over big in WWE. But what I could see is if NXT then kind of loses that label of a developmental brand and becomes more of the third mainstream brand, I could see them kind of becoming mainstream players there.
I'll give so people who are not familiar, I'll give a comparison, and this is going old school. If that group, or mainly Gunner, ended up on the main roster, his fate would be the same as Chuck Palumbo ×2
Oh God!
on SmackDown.
Well, the most significant runs he's had. He was an Italian. He was a gay man, and he was a biker.
You look so good to me.
So that means stay in NXT.
Yeah.
I mean, it gave Rico a career.
Yo, Rico Constantino could go.
Yes, he could.
He was a damn good wrestler,
He
and
was.
he just got strapped with the worst
He
gimmicks.
did, man. Oh,
At least he didn't have
man.
a segue.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's
Or-
very
or-
true.
Oh, hold on. Mike Bucci, I apologize for his segue reference.
Or Chavo Guerrero riding a freaking golf cart.
Oh
That
God,
wasn't Chavo.
that was Kerwin White.
It was Kerwin White.
I was like, wait, you got me. I'm like, wait, was it Chavo?
You want to talk about one of the worst gimmicks of all time?
You sold that beautifully.
Kerwin
Best
White.
of.
Was it Java?
And the funny part is, I love how we were just supposed to believe the first time he comes out on Raw. I was like, oh, it's Chavo. Why is he a white guy?
Mike, I'm not even joking. When you said that, my heart dropped. I'm like, did I misrepresent?
No.
What did I do?
What's funny is I couldn't even see Maddie because I'm looking at Chrome, but Maddie's like saying the same thing at the same time. He's like, no, it's Kerwin White.
That might be the worst gimmick of all time, by the way.
Oh God,
That might be worse than riding in on a Segway.
I don't know if it's worse. I don't know if it's worse than Abe Knuckleball Schwartz.
The only
it ranks right up
the
there.
only worse gimmick than that is El Matador.
Oh God.
El Matador.
Of course, the Tito reference comes back.
That's
Full
it.
circle. Full circle.
What about Tito and Rick Martel and Strike?
Strike Force. Oh God.
One of the greatest theme songs ever.
Oh, the worst ever.
I can't feel my face anymore. All right, I'm going to go away now.
Thank you, WWE. Sometimes.
He only
Oh
carried
no!
9
You know what
clubs.
the worst might have been? Beaver cleavage was pretty
Oh
bad.
God,
Oh.
yes.
Beaver cleavage was pretty bad. The
Oh.
incestual son.
It was so bad that even the guy who was in the gimmick just said, "Fuck it,
fuck,
no,
I'm done.
I'm
Nope.
not doing it."
Was that Mosh or Thrasher?
I think
That was Thrasher.
Was it Thrasher?
it was. No, it was Mosh because Mosh was Chaz. Yeah.
You're right. Peter Evans echoed that Jimmy Uso was arrested. Andy Ritter says it was Ronda retaining, I believe, or detaining, I believe.
retaining and then dropping.
No, he said it was Ronda detaining.
He probably meant retaining.
Maybe.
If Ronda's detaining, she's in the Uso pedigree.
I was going to say, was she at the scene? Was she at the scene?
Officer Rousey?
Rosca asks, what was your favorite WrestleMania of all time?
Oh.
We could answer that. I mean, that's going to be part of our roundtable discussions when we get closer to Mania.
Wow.
But 31 because I attended it, and it was just an incredible ending, and it was actually a pretty good card.
I mean, it was the first pay-per-view I was able to get 19 because that was a tremendous.
19
show.
19 is up there. 17 I would probably say.
Now,
is the
see,
best of all time.
I'm an old head because I would say for me, even though the card was not good at all, 15 because I was there,
15
and for me, I mean,
when they hung the boss man.
yeah. But I mean, like one of my top 3 matches of all time is Savage Steamboat from WrestleMania 3.
Sure.
So I'll take 3. I'll take it to the Wayback Machine.
For me,
Mike was 17 when 3 was on, by the way.
and this,
Wow.
Not
Is my name Brad Ryer?
not to dig the knife in, but I mean.
Mike was getting his prom date together.
I
by
was
that time.
15, all right?
Just to keep twisting
leave
it just
me
a little bit more.
alone. I was 15.
Wait, hold on. I might have been older. So wait, 35 minus 3 is 32.
that was 80,
47 minus
88.
32. Yeah, it's 15.
Oh shit! I wasn't that far off.
I was 15.
You missed it by 2.
I was trying to take a little dig, but I didn't have to dig. I didn't really dig that deep.
Well, actually, I need to apologize to Brad. I was thinking it made me out to be older than I am.
For me, and this is just based off of playback value. I've gone back and watched this WrestleMania more than any of them. WrestleMania 2000. And listen, I know that's probably not at the top of a lot of people's list. I loved the madness that was the hardcore battle royale or whatever the hell they called it.
Yes, it was called
the
Hardcore
Kane and
Battle Royal.
Rikishi tag team is one of my all-time favorite tag teams ever. When they went up against X-Pac
and Road Dogg.
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously the Elimination McMahon representative Fatal 4-Way at the end was fantastic with Foley, Big Show, Triple H, and The Rock. Just the entire card was just something very different. And also, who wasn't on the card that is obviously a big figure?
The Undertaker.
He was not on the card.
Missed
He was
that year.
injured.
Yeah, he missed that year. Yep. Yep. Nah. That was a star-studded Mania. And I remember about WrestleMania 2000 was when they did, if you bought the pay-per-view, they had like the 24-hour lead-in of all programming. It was like an all-day thing to celebrate WrestleManias. I remember that. But for me, being there 31 was unbelievable. I mean, 34 because I sat 8th row was pretty freaking awesome. But watching it, going back, it would be between 17 and 19. I would go 17. 19 was damn good, too.
It was.
And when you go back and if you go back and watch that one, Ryan, you want to talk about going back? If there's 2 Manias that I have time to go back and watch to get me ready for Mania, it's 17 and 19.
Wait, which one was the main event? What was the main event?
Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle.
That
for
was
the
Lesnar,
WWE
Kurt
title.
Angle.
Yeah.
I saw
That was the one where Brock screwed up a shooting star press and almost killed himself.
I went back and I think we talked about this, Kareem. I had all of the anthologies, the WrestleMania anthologies.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's how I know about WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah.
Because I obviously didn't watch it live. It was like 3, 3.5, I think.
Yeah, and that was Hogan. That was the infamous Vince bloody face looking over.
Oh, God,
Over
with
the
the
ring?
street fight with Hogan.
Which was
yes.
actually a really
Yeah.
good match.
That was a tremendous camera shot, too, by the way. That was awesome.
We'll get a couple more in here. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left on here before we hit the hour mark. Let me get these in here. Sagers had said something about Nakamura. I think I missed what it was in pertaining to when we were saying earlier. And he says, I think it's his last year, talking about Kofi, because New Day's gear was all about Kofi's Rumble moments. And he's been going strong for 12 years. I mean, how much longer can he really go? I think he can go for a long time.
I wouldn't. No.
And he says, and I get he's well respected by the locker room, but the locker room has been freaking out on Twitter about him a lot more. I think it's because it's a guy who never really got the spotlight. His biggest moment in a singles moment ever was when he attacked Randy Orton when he was, the boom guy.
Yeah.
But he had that vicious attack on Orton, which was out of character then. Aside from that, he's never really had much of a singles feature.
The one world title match he was supposed to be in, he got taken out by Edge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I would say, too, I think a lot of it, too, is the impact of social media now for the superstars, like you said, who have watched him day in and day out, to see that instant reaction to this guy. They wanted to back it up and support it and be like, listen, I'm glad you guys are noticing it. It's nothing new. Try to build the steam behind him a little bit, So I don't think that's an indication of anything. I think they're just highlighting Kofi's. I mean, WWE themselves highlight Kofi's Royal Rumble moments every year.
Right.
So it's nothing new. David Sagers, he had said, it's great work, but his personality is so dry and entertaining. Talking about Nakamura. Andy said the Forgotten Sons. He gave us the names. Kerwin White Ziggler was his caddy for an episode. Worst
yes, he was.
He says Dave Sagers says worst gimmick, the Shockmaster. Poor tugboat.
That was a non-WWE gimmick, though.
John C. Danzo says, how can you forget the Goon?
The Goon.
The Goon.
Roscoe liked 17, 19, and 20.
Well, wait. If we're going to the Goon, we got to go to T.L. Hopper.
Oh, T.L.
Either
Hopper
that
was
or the
pretty bad.
gobbledygooker.
Damien Demento was pretty bad, too.
The magician guy.
The worst thing
whatever
about
the hell
Kerwin
his name
White was that he didn't even carry 14 clubs. He carried 7.
Only you would get
From
mad
a
about
golfer.
that.
From a
yeah,
golfer. From
like,
a golfer.
seriously.
It was highly disrespectful.
Well, although I can understand, because as an EMS trained person, when they come in and EMS has to come in and they're putting the collar on without stabilizing the neck, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Cervical spine injury.
Take your time. Take your time.
This is what happens when you get the job guys who have nothing to do backstage to pretend they're EMTs for the night.
Life's cruel and unfair.
Andy says I wasn't even
so
born.
is Waylon Mercy.
Andy said I was pretty bad. Andy says I wasn't even born yet for WrestleMania 33. Rosca says my favorite match, WrestleMania Austin versus HBK and Austin
3,
versus Rock.
yeah, not 33.
Rock and Angle. 3, whatever.
Yeah.
I was going to say Andy.
Rosca says Austin Undertaker was not at 2000. Austin was at 2000. WrestleMania 18 was my favorite. Hogan versus Rock. That was a great match. Rosca also says Undertaker missed 10.
Oh, no.
He did not miss 10.
He's right.
Did
Austin
he?
wasn't at WrestleMania 2000.
Was
he
he
was
hurt?
still hurt. He was coming back.
that
He
was
came back the next month.
That's right.
Yeah.
Undertaker missed 10. Undertaker did miss 10.
He did, yes.
94 and 16, 2000, that's 16. And we'll round it out with this amazing gimmick. John C. Danzo says the magician was Fantasio.
Yes, that's
go.
who he was. Yes.
Who was the Sailor Moon look? Or not Sailor. Who was the Max Moon?
Max Moon.
Max Moon.
Oh, that
which was
fun.
Conan, of all people.
I know, that was brutal, too.
So, trivia question. Undertaker, who is number 1 on the streak?
Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Very good. My man.
I didn't even have to hesitate on that one, man. Challenge my ass. Come on.
And who
WrestleMania 7.
broke the streak?
Brock
The
Lesnar.
man who put the 1 in 21 and 1.
Also, if you ever want to
2 now.
stump,
2 now.
and if you ever want to stump anybody on trivia, Undertaker's birthday was the day he began the streak. By the way,
Undertaker's birthday is March 26th, I believe.
yeah, he actually.
I only know because I'm the 21st. I always knew his birthday was around me. Good stuff, guys. If you join us on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, guys, link at the top of the page, link in the chat. Come over and join us on the YouTube page. Like A2D Live, like A2D Radio. Give us a rating. We know you guys love us. We're going to talk Elimination Chamber on the other side, and I'm sure we're going to have more foolishness and shenanigans to get out of our system. So Let's hear from our sponsors, Maddie.
All right, then. So this first portion of Lazy Booking was brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com.
Looking forward to talking in a few minutes, fam. We'll see you on the other side on YouTube.
Tom and Mike, AM and the PM, is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues and expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional sports. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Mike from Tom and Mike AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's www.gibsonmayer.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com from the Real Talk Studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. Brought to you by Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs, located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com.
Welcome back to Lazy Booking, guys. We got everything back on the rails. We're ready to rock and roll. Maddie Sinsudi and Chrome, the Ginger Gang, with our guest of the week, Mikey Mataraki.
Boom!
Ryan Brodo over on the ones and twos. Great first half chat on the other side. Our Scanzano Sports poll question. Do you agree with the booking of Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda Rousey? Yes or no? We can continue to talk about that if you want to talk about it. If not, we're going to continue to go in whatever direction we like to go in. And the direction we're going to take right now is we are going to run down the Elimination Chamber card, and we are going to give our takes and our predictions of this card.
And I'm pulling it up right now for us to dissect and take a look at. So,
a couple things while you're doing that. The few we do have here. Raska had said my favorite women's championship match, I'm assuming, was Trish versus Jazz versus Victoria, WrestleMania 19.
that was a great match.
It was a very good match. He says, I don't understand why Lesnar will not defend the Universal Championship this Sunday night. Andy says, Roski, you're smarter than that, man. You know why.
No, he's not.
Raska says, okay,
No,
he
he's
should.
not.
And Ritter says, while I agree that the title should be defended more frequently, I don't think Brock defending at the Chamber serves any purpose, especially knowing that Seth is next in line. I agree with what Mr. Ritter had to say right there.
All right.
Mr. Ritz. Ritz.
So, got the card up. First matchup that's here is Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin.
Braun Strowman.
Yeah, that's
Squizosh.
pretty irrelevant match right there.
Does the fact that it's a no DQ have any element in your prediction?
No.
In either.
It's probably going to be very gimmicked up, but yeah, it's probably.
Did you
Do
guys?
we want to answer this question, or do we want to wait until after we go through the predictions? John Danzo, he jumped over from the Facebook. He says, I have a question for all three of you great gentlemen. No, you're a great gentleman, John. He says, if you could book a, quote, new gimmick battle royal, end quotes, who would you put in it?
I would wait, and that's a very involved question.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So let's go through the card. Let's give our predictions, and we will address that as soon as we're done.
We'll have
I
to,
like
yeah.
it. That's a really good question.
That's great. I do like that question.
Now, because I'm going to ask him some. So let me know while we're running through.
Look at
this.
that mugshot.
That's great.
That mugshot is horrible.
It's amazing. Let me know what you clarify as a new gimmick. Give me a little bit on that because I'm curious. And Andy does say, cheap plug, not a problem, brother. He says, in this very ring, which is our other show on Mondays, it drops on Monday here on A2D Radio. He does his Universal Prediction Championship ballots. They went up today. So if you're going to get involved, get in on it. This is your day to vote and make your predictions and see if you come out the winner.
Quiz for you, another quiz. How many singles matches have Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin had?
Too many. None? They never had
You
one?
agree with Mike? Do you agree?
Technically, I think no, because he had one at
Didn't they have one at
didn't they have
TLC,
one at
right?
TLC? But it was all gimmicked up, and it could have been something
did
they did
have
on
one.
Raw.
So technically it's one,
is
but
technically
but since
one.
there was so much interference,
Correct.
the correct answer is 0. But it seems like there's been a lot more, right?
But you said technically it's one.
Well, no, not because of that. No, actually, not
because it
more
was billed as one. So
well, here's the thing, though.
technicality.
It doesn't surprise me
But it
that
was
they
one.
haven't.
Officially.
No, but it wasn't.
Wasn't it?
Watching the match, it was not a singles because
No. No, there was interference, but technically it
From
was
the
a
get-go.
one-on-one match.
from the get-go.
But it was if you look at the back of the DVD, it says it is a one-on-one match.
They still have DVDs.
just
I think so.
just move on, Chrome. You said far too
I
many,
am
and you were wrong.
correct.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Well, no, that was the right answer. Far too many. One is far too many for me.
But either way, though, it doesn't surprise me because Baron Corbin was wrestling Finn Balor almost all of last year. Okay, SmackDown Tag Team titles: The Miz and Shane McMahon versus the Usos. Now, do the Usos get taken off of this match, or
No.
are they actually going to
No.
be in it? All right,
No,
just
but,
wondering.
I
don't know.
think it's safe to say Shane and Miz are going to retain.
They were
Yes.
winning either way.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a little part of me that thinks that they could have lost, or maybe won here and lost at Fastlane, and that because I think you're getting Miz and Shane at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think it's going to start to crumble over the next handful of weeks. Right. But they need a couple big-time moments for it to really sell deep.
And they had one when they won, when Shane did the shooting star press, so that was a good moment.
All right, next up.
We all in agreement there?
Yeah, I think Shane and Miz are going to retain.
Like
I don't
he's looking
think
up tickets over here.
No, I'm surprised because I just happened to stumble across a seating map, excuse me, of the Wells Fargo Center for Raw when WWE comes here on March 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And a substantial amount of the Wells Fargo Center is being tarped off. I mean, and it's funny as I look at the map, you can it's like they've almost planned out in advance like where their stationary cameras are going to be and like what angles they're going to shoot from and stuff like that because I mean, you've basically got a third of the upper level,
right.
nothing, plus random sections at other.
Well, here, is that the entrance ramp or no?
This is the ramp here.
So this is probably where the WrestleMania sign will be hanging. They don't want to obstruct
They don't want to obstruct view. Okay, fair. But then this section this section here will be as they're shooting from the floor. They want to have people in the upper level there, but then you've got this block here with nothing.
Yeah.
And they come all the way almost to center ring on the upper level on the other side with nothing there. It's quite strange.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to sidetrack, but
Oh no, it's interesting.
I'm surprised by just the sheer amount of sections that are not for sale.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but honestly, I see Miz and Shane retaining. I actually don't see them losing it until I think they're going to probably have them drop them to Rusev and Nakamura and see where that experiment goes before they put the belts on anybody else.
They could.
Only because they're a heel team, and they've been booking the Usos like baby
Yeah, I mean,
faces.
especially if the rumor's true that the Raw Tag Team title match is going to be a ladder match, which, if that's true, I hope that the rumor that's been put out there is true, but I don't know if it. I doubt it will be. That, considering the Revival is the old school kind of guys, they were talking about wearing the old World Tag Team title. I hope
That
they
would be
do.
awesome.
I love those titles, but I don't think that. I don't know if that's true. But the rumor is that the Raw Tag Team title match will be a ladder match Mania.
All right, then. So, moving on. Raw Women's Championship, Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott.
I think it's pretty clear it's going to be
1, 2, 3,
Ronda.
Ronda. It's a shame because Ruby is really entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does give her a formidable foe though, going as kind of what would be, for all intents and purposes, kind of a filler.
They're going to have.
I think Ruby will get her time. I just think honestly, right now it's setting up for WrestleMania, so it's just that
They're going to have a really hard time with this match, in my opinion. Not in the ring, but as far as in front of the fans, because obviously Rousey's kind of the default heel for the crowd right now, and Ruby's already a heel, and they clearly we all know the finish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this could be one of the candidates for the crowd to kind of take over the match. So they have a very, very steep climb as far as really getting this match over. And it's a shame because both workers deserve the moment.
Sure.
What if Charlotte actually costs Ronda the match and Ruby Riott walks out of there with the title?
I don't see that happening.
That sets up a rematch at Fastlane where Ronda basically has to win her title back to be able to then take it to WrestleMania and defend it in a potential triple threat, which is, I guess, what we assume is going to happen.
This could end as a DQ. I could see Charlotte getting involved and ending in a DQ.
No, I don't. If everything that's going on, if it's a DQ, Ronda's winning the match because I don't see them giving Ronda her first loss on a toss-away pay-per-view in any fashion.
Even if it's like a complete schmoz where she gets screwed.
No way. It takes away from the Mania thing then. If there is a chance that Ronda's going to take the pinfall, I mean, that is going to you talk about infuriating the WWE Universe. That's not like heat because of that's not character heat. That's booking heat. That would be an absolute stupid business move by them to do.
Andy in the YouTube says, "See, Ronda Ruby match is another one of my crazy theories. Ruby could potentially win. C Mike is on my wavelength."
Well, you guys are both crazy.
That's scary. I mean, I give him credit where credit is due, but it's a little scary.
No.
Okay, then. Next up, Handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship, Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush versus Finn Balor. I think Bobby's probably going to retain the title here because I think they want to extend his run to a Mania and then maybe have Finn win it from him there. So that way it's a bigger payoff for him to win the Intercontinental title. That would be my assumption because that way you can get away with it if he loses. You know, it's like, okay, he had 2 guys against 1.
Yeah, I think that Bobby ends up somehow getting the win here. I agree with you. It's probably going to carry out to Mania.
I have Finn winning.
Really?
Because to
It wouldn't
me,
surprise me.
it goes back to the age-old thing, in my opinion, of how, like, if a baby face is against 2 opponents and it's a handicap match, 95% of the time the baby face is winning. You know what I mean? There would need to be some kind of fluky finish. Maybe Lio Rush gets the pin or something.
Well, I was going to say, didn't they just do the tag team title change, though, a few months ago where AOP lost the tag titles because Drake Maverick took a pinfall?
Yes.
So I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it wouldn't shock me. I'm skeptical just because typically on these throwaway pay-per-views, there's one new champion usually that's crowned, and we're
Right.
gonna get that in the chamber.
Not only that, too,
with the
there's-
women.
They're
So I'm not ruling it out. I could absolutely see it happening. If it does, it's probably going to be Leo takes the pin. But
See, go ahead, Matty.
I was going to say, plus there's also one swerve per pay-per-view. You know it's coming, so it's just like, I don't see the swerve happening in the Intercontinental title match.
And I thought about that exact same thing, Mike, that, you know, every pay-per-view, especially if the Universal title's not in there, you need a big moment. You need a poster moment. And I thought, okay, well, by default, there's already going to be a main, you know, obviously a tag title that's going to change because it's going to be one for the first time. But that, in my opinion, would make the Finn Balor championship win all that more important because you already know there's one big title change or title victory. There'll be a second one.
Look, can I ask you a question, Chrome? Do you think that maybe they're sitting on this to WrestleMania because at WrestleMania you get the Demon King versus Bobby Lashley?
could
I
possibly
could see
be.
that happening.
Because he never loses a match as the Demon King.
It's very possible. I could also see.
Could
when-
you imagine that entrance
oh,
in MetLife
God,
Stadium?
that would be
It'd
tremendous.
be amazing. I also am a little skeptical just because I think when Finn finally wins his next title, that's going to be such a huge moment. I don't think they're going to want to take away from the women's tag title match, and as much as I think being the first time, people will get excited depending on the result. I don't think they're going to want to take that risk. Now, it wouldn't shock me. I'd be fine with it because I think Finn's going to get the Intercontinental title. It's only a matter of time. And you're right that if the plan at some point coming up is to bring the Demon back for Mania, him already being champion, I think, is a little less effective, as in the Demon. That's
Winning,
where he has
right.
to tap into to get the job
Yeah,
done.
the only time he ever came out in any demon form was in Japan when he was already junior heavyweight champ, but he was the heel of the match,
Right.
so he got away with it.
But if you think about his time in NXT, every time he came out as the Demon, it was either to win the title or to defend the title against a challenger who was perceived to be the favorite in the match.
True.
And
So-
Andy brings up something interesting. He says, just got an email regarding Chamber this Sunday, which he's going to from the Toyota Center, and he said they are promoting Ray, Elias, Rude and Gable, Asuka, and Charlotte. Guys that are not plugged to be in any matches.
Read that again?
Ray,
Right.
Elias,
Which is, okay, go ahead.
Rude and Gable,
Mm-hmm.
Asuka,
Mm-hmm.
and Charlotte.
Well,
None of them.
Charlotte said she would be there.
Yeah, so that's the one that makes the most sense, but the others.
Pre-show?
Yeah, I'm guessing there might be like a rematch type thing, even though that's they said that's out the door. You know, Gable against the Revival.
Is the email specifically just Elimination Chamber, or is it the weekend being Elimination Chamber Raw and SmackDown?
I'll just read you the full thing because I paraphrase. He said, just got an email regarding Chamber this Sunday since it is going to be at the Toyota Center. In parentheses, says, and I'm going.
In Houston, right.
And they are promoting Ray, Elias, Rude and Gable, Asuka, and Charlotte.
Right. So my question with Andy is does the email specifically just say Elimination Chamber event, or does it have surmise the whole weekend? Because I know sometimes when they have those events,
right? But they're not doing Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, I thought
there.
they were.
They have something going on there Saturday night. I think it's some kind of like meet and greet type of deal or whatever. But I think Raw is.
Are any of them a part of that meet and greet deal?
It's a possibility. Andy would need to clarify this, but I think Raw is in. I believe Raw is in Dallas, and SmackDown is in. Where is SmackDown this week? Oklahoma City, maybe? I could be wrong, but.
Andy says, yes, just Elimination Chamber.
All right, you know what? I'll get on the live events page, and I'll find out where Raw and SmackDown are.
Andy said he just sent you a screenshot, Chrome, as well.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
Okay, so
Yeah, so it has the card, and then it says also see Rey Mysterio, Elias, Finn Balor, Almighty Bobby Lashley, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, and many more. I mean, I could see them doing a rematch between Gable and Roode and the Revival.
I'll tell you what it is. I figured it out. Ray and Elias are probably going to be appearing. No, I wouldn't even say that. Appearing on the pre-show. You know how they have guests?
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. And then Asuka, maybe a segment with her.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
It could be something as simple as that. And then Roode and Gable are involved in some kind of pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, though, Andy.
So, Elimination Chamber in Houston, Raw in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Okay, Louisiana.
And New Orleans, or SmackDown in New Orleans.
Nice. Where's SmackDown at? What building? The Smoothie King?
Smoothie King, yeah.
All right, then. So, next up, we got the 2 Elimination Chambers. Do you want me to save the women's tags for last and just go into the WWE one? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So, WWE Championship match, Daniel Bryan defending against AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, and Kofi Kingston.
Daniel Bryan.
I want to give it to somebody else.
You want to give it to Samoa Joe? I know you do.
I do want to give it to Joe, but it's going to be Daniel.
Yeah, this is a Daniel Bryan title retained.
I think the final 2, like we talked about earlier, Kofi is in the role of, obviously, Mustafa Ali. So Kofi is going to be the final participant against Daniel. And I'm not going to compare him to Santino. But you know what I mean? Like, when Santino was against Daniel years ago, and the crowd obviously wanted Santino to win, I think Kofi's going to be very, very close to winning a lot of times, but Daniel's going to win at the end.
Hey, do you guys think that could be will that be the final match of the show, or will the women's tag title in the
women's
chamber?
tag.
I think the women's tag will be the end of the show.
The only reason I'm even asking the question is, say they drop the chamber and they're going to do the 2 chamber matches back to back, which I don't think they will.
No.
I think they'll do one first and one last. But if the men's chamber match were to be the main event and to go on last, I could very easily see the Daniel Bryan win with assistance from Rowan.
And then Harper and Bray Wyatt.
Well, the lights go out.
Yep.
Harper starts to walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
And as he's walking down the aisle and they're distracted, like staring him down, up from underneath the ring, like basically through the canvas, here comes Bray Wyatt.
Well, see, that's actually my prediction. I think Daniel wins, then Bray Wyatt shows up.
Yeah, I think I'm swayed. I'm going to go with the women opening the show.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. I'm thinking that because, honestly, since we're talking about the women's tag title match now with Nia Jax, Tamina, Riot Squad, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, the Iconics, Sasha Banks and Bayley, and Naomi
would also
and
be
Carmella.
it's a hot opener in more ways than one.
Sure.
Yeah. Honestly,
In more ways than 2.
remember how I said there's always a swerve? I think this is where we're going to get a swerve for the first champions because I honestly don't see Sasha and Bayley winning them.
No, I don't either.
Because
As long as it's not Nia and Tamina.
I don't think they're going to. I think Mandy and Sonya are going to do it.
Yeah, I'm starting to lean that way,
I think
too.
they're going to. And the reason why I say that is for 2 reasons. I know a lot of people had said it's an easy slam dunk, Sasha and Bayley. That's the reason why, because there's always that swerve that comes. It's not going to happen in any other title because you don't really have the option available to do it.
I was going to go with if it's not Sasha and Bayley, Ryan.
It's time.
It's time.
Okay.
It's iconic.
That's
I love me some Peyton Royce. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it could.
It's a possibility, but I think like I could see that happening where the heel team will get it, and I also think the other reason why is because Sasha's hurt again. So it's a minor injury, but still, it's enough for them to probably warrant.
Is that a real injury?
Who knows? It could be one of those where they say she's injured, but she's not.
I thought she was like legit injured. The report was that she was pulled from the match, and then later in the day when they announced that she was reinstated, they said that after some extra rehab, she's good to go. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of rehab do you get in 6 hours that you go from not cleared to being cleared?
What do they do? Send her to Mr. Miyagi? Like,
I'll tell you right now, okay? If Bayley and Sasha win at Elimination Chamber, Bayley is 100% turning heel at Mania. 100%.
There's always a turn.
But I don't believe that they're winning on Sunday.
No, I don't
think
believe
the
they are
Iconics
No,
are. So.
either the Iconics, like you guys say, or Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are going to win
could
it,
honestly
and
see
then
that.
we're going to probably have them hold the belts till WrestleMania.
wait. The hugger cannot turn at WrestleMania.
Oh, yes,
she
she
can.
can.
Sure
I mean,
It's
don't get me
time.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. I want her to, but the hugger will not turn
Mike,
at Mania. Everybody leaves Mania happy.
Not the hugger.
That's why it won't be a closing segment.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
And so-
Nakamura turned in the middle of the pay-per-view last year.
He did.
Well,
He did. I mean,
he
again,
was starting to get booed anyway.
Speaking of that, speaking of Mania, though, I think that's what we'll see. We'll see that heel team carry the women's tag belts into WrestleMania, and that's where we'll see Sasha and Bayley win, barring that Sasha doesn't get really, really hurt in between.
Couldn't we just get a Sasha and Bayley heel turn?
No, it's too easy.
Like
No, they gotta go away
Sasha
from each other.
drags her to the dark side.
I mean, in a way, I don't really mind that idea because at the end of the day, it's like Sasha just saying, you know what? Screw this hugger crap. You don't need to be the hugger because where does it get you? It gets you losing at the end of the day.
I see what you're doing.
I'll tell you.
I'll see.
He's giving me the pointer finger.
I see what you're doing over there. You're going with everyone has to be happy. You're going back to the Nexus SummerSlam thing.
Oh, God.
It has to be a happy ending for the kids. I see what you're doing.
It's WWE 101. Everybody's supposed to leave WrestleMania happy.
See,
Tell
but
that to
they're
Brock Lesnar.
They screw him at SummerSlam.
they're back to planting the seeds, though, of, Bayley's carrying the team now, and Sasha, every time you turn around,
She's hurt.
So it wouldn't shock me if
wouldn't-
Bayley does
it wouldn't
the
be a
turn.
shocker.
And everyone's expecting Sasha to be the one to turn heel.
Bayley's going to give her a hug and turn it into a belly-to-belly.
Yes. See, there you go. Listen.
Could she give her 6 belly to belly?
Maybe. And Sasha's still here.
It's going to be the new
Is
Brock
that all
Lesnar.
you got?
She'll be the new Brock Lesnar. Instead of Suplex City, it's Belly City or something.
It's Bayley City.
Bailey City.
Bailey City.
Oh, my God.
What's next?
Don't
Maddie?
steal that WWE.
That's it,
terrible.
actually,
That's
on
the
the
card,
on
yeah.
the card there.
So hopefully we finally get like a 2.5-hour pay-per-view we've been desperately begging for.
I mean,
before we get the 9-hour WrestleMania card.
The only 2 matches that were there are probably going to be pre-shows, and that's the Cruiserweight title and possibly the Raw Tag titles. That's it.
Oh, that was. Thank you for reminding me, Matty. So the Buddy Murphy thing. We all expect Buddy Murphy to win, correct?
I mean,
He's against Akira
it
Tozawa.
would make sense.
He
'cause-
clearly needs some more competition. So I want to ask you guys and the people at home, who do you, I think they're due for a debut, probably somebody from NXT. Who do you think is most likely to go there
I don't know.
in the next, 4 weeks or so?
It's hard because a lot of the guys who you would deem as a cruiserweight, they're actually going to wind up on a Raw or SmackDown.
Well, I was going to say they also hold NXT championships.
Yeah, so
yeah.
there's
As
that
in
too.
Ciampa and Gargano.
And I mean, they're
That and also Ricochet to an extent, but he's not going to go on the 205. They'd put
he's
him on the
gonna
main
go
roster.
They're dragging a lot of this out right now. I don't
Pete
think,
Dunne?
I don't think Pete Dunne.
The Bruiser.
That's not a bad
he's a hunter
choice.
guy though. I think he's a main roster guy.
201 pounds of bruiserweight? Pete Dunne? I'll tell you what, though.
Tyler Bate could be a name.
Pete Dunne and Buddy Murphy would be a phenomenal match.
That
I
would
wouldn't mind Tyler Bate either.
Tyler Bate would be a name that I would look at as a potential person.
With the Pete Dunne thing, it all depends on. So, and I don't know when the next NXT UK, big show is, because I know they're building for Dunne versus this guy named Walter. This big,
Walter's enormous.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a monster. Yeah.
So if maybe that was in the next few weeks or month, because I think this Walter guy is going to end up probably beating Pete Dunne.
Probably.
That could, then put Pete Dunne over here.
Well, I mean, we have the Superstar Shakeup that was announced. That's
Well,
right
taking
after
place
Mania.
after Mania. So I could see Dunn being a guy that goes to the main roster.
So going back to the question though about Buddy Murphy,
Tyler Bate is the guy I'm picking.
could they go ridiculously outside of character and hotshot someone that they literally have just signed?
Like
ACH?
Trevor Lee, maybe.
It's possible.
see.
Trevor Lee has a lot of experience, so I could see Trevor Lee being a guy.
But does Trevor Lee go on 205 Live?
Well, he was an X Division competitor in
I guess he's
Impact.
he's probably
so-
close.
Yeah, I mean, he's within that. He's within the weight range, and
Right.
he's a skilled enough guy. Absolutely, I could see him being a possibility.
See, I'm worried for one big reason. And common sense-wise, I would agree with all three of you guys, especially because I see him as more than 205 Live. But given we're right before WrestleMania, I'm worried that Ricochet goes to 205 Live. They have Buddy Murphy versus Ricochet. And then afterwards, maybe a month after, similar to what they did with Mustafa Ali, Ricochet goes main roster, but he starts on 205 Live. Because you would have to admit, like, for example, they made the Neville Austin Aries a few years ago. Like, that was a big match for WrestleMania. They bought a lot of time beforehand to save time for that match. I could see them doing Buddy Murphy versus Ricochet at Mania.
I mean, that would be a good match. It's just I don't know. It's hard to say because it's the thing about it is that if you want to go that route, and this also hurts because the cruiserweights are a part of Raw, quote unquote, which they travel with SmackDown, so that doesn't help anything. It's like I could see if maybe Ricochet is the cruiserweight champion and he appears on 205 and on the main show, but since Raw technically has the cruiserweights with the brand split, you can't really do that without it being a pain in the ass to Ricochet, having to go wherever Raw goes and then go to where SmackDown goes immediately after that to show up on 205 Live. Because to me, I don't think you bring Ricochet up just for him to show up for 205 Live. That would be ridiculous, at least in my opinion. Just because I don't see that happening.
Well,
not with what he's been doing with NXT.
They could be doing two things at the same time. They could be making a big match at WrestleMania. They could be
do
giving
that.
rub to 205 Live. And in turn, listen, I mean, the Mustafa Ali shows that just because you start there doesn't mean you finish there.
No. I
You know what I
understand
mean?
that. Yeah.
So, like I said, I agree with you, Matty. I don't necessarily want it at all. But given where that roster's at and the timing of the year we're in right now, I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, it's almost like you almost wish that WWE might just start doing the one-offs at this point, like they did with Taka. They just go find a freaking luchador out of nowhere and say, "Hey, you're gonna go compete for the light heavyweight title at
There you go,
WrestleMania
Mike.
14 because we got nobody for Taka to wrestle."
Bring back Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yeah, for the one-off. against-
Daniel Price is back from last week. Daniel said
Jushin Liger does not weigh 205 or less anymore.
no. Plus, actually, he's getting ready to face Ishimori for the
let
junior.
me get a couple of these in because we're running out of time.
Good.
Daniel Price says Brian's retaining. He says he's not dropping until WrestleMania to someone that will go to Saudi Arabia because Brian won't.
True. Yeah, true.
He said the needless estrogen straps of friendship and merchandising will go on last. Talking about the women. Yikes, that was a tough one there, Daniel. He says, better get used to it. Sasha and Bailey are winning. People who got video packages, vignettes, yeah, those are also those people are not winning. He says DeVille's horrible. I disagree with that. Manny's overrated as fuck, and again because Sasha. Because guess what? Sasha and Bailey are winning. He is on the Sasha and Bailey winning match
Eventually.
train.
I mean, what was his last name?
Daniel Price.
Shut up, Price.
Nah, I love Daniel. Was awesome.
It's the God's greatest creation.
You're ruining this.
Yes,
You're ruining it.
Shut up, Price. You're ruining it. Nah. I disagree. I actually think Sonya Deville is very competent in the ring and very, very good and has gotten better. And Mandy is a character they're really behind. She's gotten better, but there's still a lot of work to be done
Be
there.
still my heart.
Be
but-
still my heart.
It's interesting, though. I was just reminded that it was 2 years ago this week, the last time I saw NXT at the Tower. And the opening contest that night was Mandy Rose against none other than Daria Baronato.
Yep. Last one here. And he says Danny Burch is another name to bring over. It's an interesting name.
It
as
is
well.
an interesting name.
I like Danny Burch. That's a good name. We would be remiss to not bring up Pedro Morales' passing, obviously, this week.
Mm-hmm.
In like two
Probably
sentences.
one of the top 3 greatest Intercontinental champions.
I was going
of
to
all
say,
time.
Mike, in 2 sentences, because you've actually seen when he was,
Back in the
around.
day, yeah.
I was trying to put it nicely and not make you sound
Back in
old.
the day.
Well, I think wasn't he the guy who set the trend of, you win the Intercontinental title, you eventually win the World title because he won the belt and
He went the other way.
Oh, he won the WWF title,
So-
then he won the
yeah.
Intercontinental.
So-
Okay.
Ivan Koloff beat Bruno for the World Championship. Pedro Morales beat Ivan Koloff for the World Championship. And then
Pedro.
Pedro dropped the World Championship to, I want to say,
Was it
Superstar.
was it Stasiak's dad?
It was either Stasiak's dad or Superstar Billy Graham, one of the two.
I think.
But what happened was, so he went tag team champion, world champion, and then he was the one who first decided that he was going to become the first ever WWF Triple Crown champion and won the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
And he had some classic matches with Morocco, Valentine, guys of that ilk back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, clear-cut Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Huge pioneer in the Hispanic community in professional wrestling. Big loss for the wrestling community. So, rest in peace to Pedro Morales.
As well as Salvatore Bellomo this week.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that
And it
one.
was, I want to say it was Monday.
Okay. Also to Salvatore. Unfortunately, we're getting the wrap-up.
We
sign
are
from
getting the
Ryan.
wrap-up.
Guys, great show. Lots of fun conversation. The gimmick thing that was asked about in there, what we actually were talking about doing is doing a gimmick tournament, similar to when we did the Greatest European Championship
Yes.
tournament. So we're going to do that in 2 weeks when Mike comes back, and I promise we're actually going to do the Lazies in the same show. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that.
Fantastic.
So 2 weeks from now, I promise we'll get in and we'll talk about that. John C. Danzo dropped that in. So, Matty, give us a read here, pal.
All right, then. So, Lazy Booking was brought to you, as always, by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call, 215-369-3300. Guys, it's tax season, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
All right. John, like I said, we'll get to that. We're going to do a tournament in a couple of weeks. We'll get to it, buddy. Guys, great show. Thanks if you joined us, the fam. You guys drive the show. We appreciate it. Hockey Happy Hour coming at you at the top of the hour. Mikey Matty, good stuff. Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. Thank you, guys. Until next week, we'll recap Elimination Chamber. Have a good week.